Hello, in this video we're going to be learning all about Python list comprehension. I do have a bit of a warning here. With great power comes great responsibility. You need to be very careful with list comprehensions in Python. Don't be tempted by the dark side. Always try to keep your code as readable as possible. List comprehensions are very powerful and they're very useful, very powerful, but they can really make your code cryptic and almost unreadable. Use them very wisely. From the docs, so list comprehension provides a concise way to create lists. That is a very good way of saying it. And more from the docs, common applications are to make new lists where each element is a result of some operation applied to each member of another sequence or iterable, or to create a subsequence of those elements that satisfy a certain condition. It probably sounds incredibly confusing. If you try to read those docs, and if you just heard me read that, you're probably confused and frustrated. You probably stopped watching the video already. But let's see. So we're going to keep on going into it. A list comprehension consists of brackets containing an expression followed by a for clause and then 0 or more for or if clauses. All right. So hopefully you're sticking with me here. So what we're going to do is double each in this list. So this first one is going to be done with a for loop, which you probably already familiar with. So we've got a list of numbers. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we've got an empty list of the doubled numbers. And we're going to go iterate through that, use a for loop to iterate through that list of numbers. And we're going to double those numbers. And then we're going to append them to the list doubled numbers, right? And when we print that out, it's going to be what we'd expect, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is with list comprehension. So we have that same list of numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And instead we've got this a much shorter line here. So the first is the expression that should happen. And then there is the that first for loop that I talked about. So for x in numbers, which was pretty much going to be for number in numbers, we're going to do x times 2. And each one of those is going to become a member of a new list called double numbers right here. So you can see it's more concise than this one, but it you do have one issue. So line length does become an issue. So normally I would have just called that number, because I do, if you've seen my other videos, you would probably know that I really dislike using single character variable names, but for this slide I had to, because otherwise it would get way too big. So that is one of your issues with line length. There's ways of getting around that, but you'll see lots and lots of people be frequently using single characters in list comprehension, which is part of the problem. But you can see this actually, I think, is more readable than this, right? There's a lot going on here, and this makes sense. So for x in numbers, we are just going to x times 2, and then that's going to be a member in the list. Okay, and in this one, we are only going to get the even numbers. So we've got the same kind of thing. Well, this time we're not doing anything to process the x. We're just going to make the x go into become an item in that list. So for x in numbers, if x is even, essentially this is the, it'll determine if it's even, it's going to add that to the list. So you see, it did that. So as it's going through, this is not even, we're not going to add it. This is even, we're going to add it. This is not even, we're going to ignore it. 4 is even, we'll add to the list. 5 is not even, so we're not going to add to the list. So now you're adding a little more logic in there. It's starting to get a little confusing, but like those, go back to that doc. So list comprehension consists of brackets containing an expression followed by a for clause, then 0 or more for or if clauses. So we have our for statement for x in numbers, and then we have that if statement. So maybe you start seeing the path we're on now, and you probably can see why I tried warning you. It's not that list comprehensions are bad, it's just that they get complex very rapidly. So here's another example of extra complexity here. Now this could be done other ways, but I've seen people write this mostly because they are in love with list comprehension. So we've got two very simple lists. AB and 1, 2, both all strings. So 4x in letters and then 4y in numbers, and then we're going to make this little tuple, and we've got tuple, 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 tuple. But you can see how you can, from that definition, you can have multiple for statements in there. But once again, this gets very kind of confusing. At least to me, it's confusing. I mean, you can parse it out. It's just starts getting a little bit in the dangerous area, in my opinion. So once again, I'll just kind of beat it into your head. So in case you couldn't figure it out or having troubles, this is the best definition. List comprehension consists of brackets containing an expression followed by a for clause and then 0 or more for or if clauses. So my opinion, hopefully you got kind of the gist of it. List comprehension should only be used when they improve readability. Code golf is cute, but has no place in any code that needs to be maintained. This is my highly opinionated exploration of list comprehension. There are times when it will make your code beautiful and more readable and simple, but don't abuse it, and be careful. Be careful with those list comprehensions. It may make sense to you while you're writing it, but remember there's that issue of, will you be able to figure out this code? Will you be able to read this code in, another 6 months? I hope that video was useful. If you liked it, hit that like button. And if you want to see more of these videos, please hit the subscribe button. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comments below. Thank you.